have to get leads under $10, and not just any lead, right? You have to make sure you get these leads qualified, because you just don't want a whole lot of leads that only have a name, number, and email, because those are trash leads. You got to control your inflow, because if you don't control your inflow, you will never control your outflow. I did over 19,000 in annual premium. That should be around 12,000 in deposits to the bank account and only 2,000 in ad spend. My name is Giovanni Dominguez, and today I'm going to be talking about what metrics every life insurance has to track, and not just track, but what they have to hit. So right away, the first thing I want to mention is you have to own your marketing, because you're in a business, right? You need to know where your leads are coming from. Okay, one thing big in this industry is there's a lot of MLM companies. I've came from one, and I'll admit that, right? I want to drop my ego. I came from an MLM, and I know what it's like to contact friends and family to go make sales and go ahead and recruit people, contact their contacts. And that's just not the way. There's a whole other side of the insurance world. And I just want you guys to let you know, you need to generate your own leads. You can't buy leads from lead vendors. The reason why is because they are going to take a margin of the leads, right? They got to make a profit. They got to filter the leads to you. They just got to make a profit. That's a business as well, right? So you got to generate your own leads. What I'll recommend here is I'll get it done for you marketing. I wouldn't recommend going straight into marketing, because I believe sales is more important than marketing. Because without, learning how to sell, you could spend thousands of money on ads, blaming it on ads, but in the reality, it's just your sales skills. So starting off with the marketing, you generate your own leads is my first point. The second point, when you generate your own leads, you got to get leads under $10. Okay. So this just comes from testing a lot of ads. You have to get leads under $10, and not just any lead, right? You have to make sure you get these leads qualified, because you just don't want a whole lot of leads that only have a name, number, and email, because those are trash leads, right? So in the lead forms, when they fill out the form to actually become a lead, I would recommend them having a beneficiary, of course, their first and last name, email, phone number, maybe a favorite hobby, and a manually entered phone number, because sometimes the phone number comes wrong. So you want to make sure you have plenty of questions to make sure that they're interested, right? Not just a quick little email, phone number, and you're done, right? Because you could get super cheap leads, but the reality is you got to get good quality leads under $10. Now, my next point is on the marketing side, your close rate out of 100 leads coming in has to be above 5%. Okay, mine is actually 8% right now. If you're just not above 5%, you're probably, your sales just sucks, honestly. Okay, the next point I have here is your cost per acquisition. Leads is the little point of the marketing, but what really matters here is cost per acquisition, right? So what cost per acquisition means is how much money do I have to pay to make a sale? Okay, so you want to make sure you have to pay minimum under 150. Okay, so that means anything under 150, if you make a sale, then that's good, right? So anything above 150, then you're doing something wrong. Okay, it could either be marketing or sales. I'll tell you guys in a bit how to track everything, but the reality is we first have to start off with the marketing. The next point I have here is you have to do 3x on the money you've put into ads, right? So that means if I put in $1, I have to get $3 back in the bank account. Okay, now that's all I want to talk about marketing so far. I could go super deep into marketing because it goes super big. Marketing is a big thing. But the next thing I really want to dial into is the sales part, the CSO, okay? Chief Sales Officer. I believe this is where most life insurance agents slack. The reason why is just because they're not taught right. There's a lot of, there's a lot of bad leading people that just legit just don't know how to sell, right? So the first thing I want to talk about in the sales side is the dial to contact rate. Okay, this is pretty important. Your dial to contact rate, what that means is out of 100 people that I call, so start dialing, 5 people pick up. Okay, the minimum has to be 5 people. What I recommend for you guys is to get a dialer. The dialer I recommend is Kixie. They're a little bit expensive, but they're gonna guarantee you that you have 5% in pickup rate. Okay. Now the next thing I want to get into is what I consider a contact. So what I consider a contact is this person has been with me on the phone for 90 seconds. Okay. So you guys could consider contact as a person response. But me personally, I consider a contact if the person's on the phone for 90 seconds. That means they passed through the intro. Okay. Now the next point I want to go into is contact to preso rate. Now, what do I define a preso rate? A preso is when you present numbers. Okay. I made this short not that long ago, that never drop your pants unless you know you're going to smash, right? So never show numbers unless you know you're going to close. So your contact to preso rate has to be 30%. So that means, let's say for an example, you dial 100 people, 5 people pick up. Well, let's just make numbers simple. You got 10 people, right? 10 people on the contacts. They've been on the phone for you 90 seconds. 3 of those, you have to show numbers. Okay. If you're not hitting 1, that means the contact is bad or the contact to preso is bad. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay. Now, preso to close rate has to be above 50%. So that means every time you present numbers, you have to close 1 out of 2 people. If you're not closing 1 out of 2 people, that's probably you just suck at sales. Reality is. And most likely you just didn't get a reason why they need insurance, a big reason why they need insurance. Okay. Now, next thing I want to talk about is AP per sale. Okay. You should get a minimum. My AP per sale is, I think, 860 annual premium per sale. You should be looking at above 850 and above. Okay. You can't really control that because, some people are broke. Some people are super, they got the money like that. That's kind of uncontrollable. But when it comes to presenting numbers, you want to present numbers where it's comfortable for them. And also you show 3 numbers. So one that's the middle one that's in comfortable for them. The one below that, that's, for sure comfortable for them. And one above the comfortable for them, that's just like a gold option, like a legacy option, like the exclusive option, right? And then last thing I want to talk about is not just submitted business, but issued business, okay? So we don't get paid on submitted business, we get paid on issued. How much people actually get issued? You have to be looking at above 85% issue rate. So this could mean a lot of things. First of all, you want to make sure you don't write much GI business. That comes down to, being good at underwriting and stuff. What GI business is, if you guys don't know, is people that have like a direct express card, people that are sick, people that are broke. You want to avoid those clients, but because they're just going to be chargebacks. The reality is, right? And now one thing I do want to talk about is the what do you call it? What you're missing. What's missing if you think you got everything right. First of all, if you're going to ask for help from another person, you must have everything tracked. You should have contact, your dials tracked, how much contacts you get a day, how much presos you do a day, how much sales you get a day, what's your AP. Like I track a lot of things, my cost per acquisition. You have to track everything. I show my whole tracker a different day. But one thing I want to talk about on the sell side is what are you slacking in, right? So let's say you have 100 leads and, you're dialing these leads and you're only getting 1 person to pick up out of the 100. That means that you're not having a dialer. It's super important to have a dialer because the dialer gets you local presence in the area code of where they're at. So for an example, if you're in Reno, it's a 775 area code. So even if I'm in Miami, in Florida, wherever I am, right? If I call a person in Reno, the area code, the phone number will pop up on their side as 775, whatever, 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 you know? So it's super important you have that, because when a person sees someone from their area code, it's just more pickup rate because they think, oh, this person, I think I might know this person because he lives in Reno, right? They're not going to answer someone from a different area code. It's just low pickup rate. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is how do you get your contact rate higher? I think this is the biggest issue life insurance have. Their intro is just trash, right? They get people picking up the phone, but they just can't get a contact. So what a contact is, you know, they have to be on the phone for 90 seconds. And I would say around 10 people that pick up, around like 7 of them are going to give you objections. The reality is, okay, if they're new leads, like just fresh, I would say only like 5 or under will give you objections. And what I see is life insurance agents, they just don't know how to handle these objections, and they just don't memorize their whole word track. Okay, so you got to memorize your whole word track, your whole intro from top to bottom, the whole script. Closing your eyes, you should be knowing this. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is the contact to present rate. Let's say you get your intro locked in. You know, everybody that gives you objections, you still manage a way to get them into a preso. You want to make sure the why section from contact to preso is key, okay? So we have to make sure that we're actually, you know, getting their past experience, how long they've been looking for life insurance, what's kind of been holding them back from getting coverage. You just didn't like who you were talking to, or just couldn't find good and affordable rates. You want a price anchor. You want to get them to know that if they don't get this life insurance, they're going to leave a burden onto their family. So it's super important. The why section and the underwriting is dialed in. And underwriting, honestly, it just gets you more of a trust, right? Because, you know, when you're saying these medications like lisinopril, amlodipine, Eliquis, metformin, you know, all of these medications, you just sound more professional. And when a client hears that, they're just like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's been doing this for a long time. So underwriting is super important. Even if you know they're GI or they're super healthy, you still want to make sure you ask all these questions about underwriting. And then next thing I want to talk about is the close rate. So present to close rate. Okay, so what I see that people are doing wrong here is they just don't know how to, one, present numbers properly, or two, they just, you know, they get an objection about social banking, and they just, like I said, they just don't know their script, and they just don't know how to handle that objection. Of course, you can't control everyone. Everyone's going to give you an objection here and there, but you got to know what to say and how to say it, okay? It's not just about what you say, it's about how you say it, okay? So that's pretty much everything I got for you guys. It's a short little video, but it's super important you guys own your marketing and your sales, okay? You guys have a good one. I hope this helped you guys out. Bye-bye.